I sat across from Claire at the dining table, the same table where we had eaten countless meals together. The paternity test envelope was in my hand, but I hadn't opened it yet. I wanted to look into her eyes one last time before I shattered what little remained of us. Claire, I said quietly, my voice shaking, before I open this, is there anything you want to tell me? Anything at all? She avoided my eyes, fiddling with her nails instead. I already told you everything. I made mistakes, but I love you. I love our family. Please, don't do this. I almost laughed. Don't do this? She was the one who had done this. Lied to me for years. Let me raise a child as my own, while she carried her secret like a ticking bomb. I ripped open the envelope. My heart pounded in my chest as I read the words that would forever change everything. Probability of paternity, 0.00%. It was like the floor collapsed under me. I had suspected it, feared it, but seeing it in black and white, it felt like my chest was being crushed. I put the paper down slowly. 3 years, Claire. 3 years I've raised him, loved him, thought he was my son, and you knew. You knew he wasn't mine. Tears streamed down her face. I didn't know for sure. I was scared. I thought maybe he was yours. I didn't want to lose you. My voice broke. So you trapped me in a lie instead? You stole 3 years of my life. 3 years of bonding, of being a father. And you knew there was a chance it wasn't true. Do you understand what you've done to me? To him? She sobbed, reaching across the table. He is your son. Maybe not by blood, but in every way that matters. You've been his father since day one. He loves you more than anything. Please don't abandon him. Don't abandon me. Her words twisted in my chest. She was right in one way. My son, or the boy I thought was my son, did love me. He looked up to me, laughed when I played with him, cried when I wasn't around. None of that was fake. None of that was his fault. But the betrayal? I couldn't ignore it. That night, I couldn't sleep. I walked into the boy's room, watching him breathe softly in his little bed. His small hand was curled around his stuffed toy, his face peaceful. Tears burned my eyes. He didn't choose this. He didn't lie. He was innocent. The next morning, Claire begged me not to tell anyone. We can move past this, she pleaded. We can still be a family. We don't have to ruin everything. But I knew better. Secrets rot everything from the inside, and the truth was already rotting me. I called my parents first. My mother cried. My father was silent for a long time before saying, Son, you deserve better. But don't punish the boy for her lies. Whatever you decide, remember, he's just a child. Those words stuck with me. Eventually, I told Claire I wanted a separation. She broke down, screamed, begged, but I was resolute. I couldn't stay married to someone who had built our life on deception. The hardest part was deciding about the boy. Legally, I had no rights. I wasn't his father. If I walked away, I could disappear from his life forever. But when I tried, when I packed a bag and stood at the door, he ran up to me. Daddy, are you leaving? Are you coming back? That shattered me more than anything else. I knelt down, hugged him tight, and whispered, I'll always be here for you, no matter what. Even if the law said otherwise, even if biology said otherwise, my heart didn't care. Claire and I divorced. She eventually told me the truth. The boy's biological father was someone she had been seeing behind my back during our relationship. He wanted nothing to do with the child. He had vanished years ago. So, in the end, I had a choice. Walk away completely, or accept that my role as a father didn't have to end just because blood said otherwise. I chose him. I didn't choose Claire, I didn't choose her betrayal, but I chose the boy. Because love isn't DNA. It's the late nights rocking him to sleep, the scraped knees I kissed, the laughter we shared. It's not the ending I imagined when I first held him in my arms, but it's the truth I can live with. Claire's lies destroyed our marriage, but they couldn't destroy the bond I had with the boy I still call my son. The day of the paternity test results was one I'll never forget. I sat in the clinic waiting room with my leg bouncing uncontrollably. Every tick of the clock on the wall was like a hammer striking my chest. Sarah was beside me, arms folded, looking more annoyed than worried. That alone sent shivers through me. When the doctor called us in, I felt like I was walking to my own execution. The envelope was on the desk, sealed, waiting to destroy or save my life. My palms were sweaty as I reached for it, but the doctor insisted on reading it out loud. His voice was calm, professional, detached. The probability of paternity is 0%. That one line detonated inside my head. My ears rang, my body went numb, and I stared blankly at the wall as though I hadn't heard it right. 0%. 3 years of being a father, of bedtime stories, of first words, of first steps, wiped away with 3 words. I turned to Sarah. Her face was pale, but not surprised. She didn't gasp. She didn't cry. She just looked cornered. "You knew," I whispered. My voice cracked with disbelief. She shook her head violently. "No, I didn't. I swear, I thought—" But her voice faltered, and in that hesitation, I had my answer. She knew. Maybe not for sure, but she had always suspected. And she let me love that child unconditionally, while keeping me chained to a lie. I stormed out of the office, barely aware of the people staring at me in the hallway. I felt my entire world collapse in real time. The woman I had trusted, the little girl I believed was my daughter. None of it was real. Back home, I locked myself in the bedroom while Sarah begged from the other side of the door. She tried everything, crying, yelling, apologizing, even blaming me. "You weren't always there. You didn't give me enough attention," as if my shortcomings had forced her into another man's arms. I finally opened the door, not out of forgiveness, but out of fury. "Who is he?" I demanded. She went silent. "You owe me that much, Sarah. Who is the father?" Still nothing. Just tears. That silence hurt worse than the truth, because it meant she had protected him for years, while I played the fool. That night, I packed a bag and slept at my brother's place. I couldn't look at Sarah. I couldn't look at the child either. Not because I didn't love her, but because every time I did, my chest split open with grief. She had no idea. She was innocent. But I couldn't keep pretending. The next weeks were chaos. I stopped going home. Sarah blew up my phone with calls and messages, begging me to talk, telling me we could work it out. But how do you work out something built on 3 years of deceit? One evening, I finally answered. My voice was cold. "I want the truth, Sarah. Who's the father?" Her sobs filled the line, and then she whispered, "It was Mark. Mark, my so-called friend. The man who came over for barbecues. Who held my daughter, no, not my daughter, in his arms like an uncle. Who stood beside me on the day she was born." My blood boiled. That night, I drove to Mark's place. I pounded on his door until he opened, looking guilty the second he saw me. His silence told me everything I needed. "You stole my life from me," I said, trembling with rage. He didn't fight back, didn't deny it. Just stood there, shame written all over his face. And for the first time in my life, I thought I might actually kill a man. But instead, I walked away, because the only thing worse than his betrayal was realizing that the little girl asleep in her crib across town was his, not mine. For weeks, the thought consumed me. I would wake up in the middle of the night, drenched in sweat, staring at the ceiling, while Maria and Lily slept soundly beside me. A voice inside my head screamed louder each day. "What if she's not yours? What if this is all a lie?" I tried to push it away, telling myself I was being paranoid, that maybe my friend had misinterpreted things. But then small details started piling up like bricks on my chest. One evening, while Maria was in the shower, her phone buzzed on the nightstand. I never snooped through her stuff before, but my hands moved before my brain could stop them. It was a message from a guy named Eric. "Haven't seen you in forever. Wish things were different." My heart sank. Who was Eric? Why would another man be wishing things were different? I didn't confront her right then. Instead, I put the phone back and pretended everything was normal. But inside, I was unraveling. The following week, Lily had a school project where she needed baby photos. Maria pulled out an old box, and we sat at the table, flipping through pictures. I froze. There was one picture, Lily at 6 months old, and right next to her crib was Eric, smiling, holding her hand. I tried to act calm. "Who's that?" I asked casually, pointing at the photo. Maria hesitated. Just a fraction of a second, but I noticed. "Oh, that's just an old friend who helped out when you were working a lot," she replied quickly. But something inside me broke that night. I went to my brother, who's a lawyer, and confessed everything I'd been feeling. He sighed deeply and said, "Look, man, if you want peace, you need the truth. Get a DNA test. Quietly. Don't accuse until you know." So I ordered one, the kind where you just swab your cheek and your child's. I felt like the worst father in the world, sneaking into Lily's room while she slept, gently swabbing her cheek, whispering, "I'm sorry, baby." Sending that package off was the hardest thing I've ever done, because I knew once it came back, there was no going back to ignorance. The results. 2 weeks later, the email arrived. My hands shook so badly I could barely open it. Probability of paternity, 0.0%. The words burned into my eyes. I read them again and again, hoping it was a mistake, but it wasn't. Lily, the little girl I had rocked to sleep, taught to ride a bike, kissed goodnight 1,000 times, was not my daughter. I fell to the floor, gasping for air, tears streaming uncontrollably. My entire world shattered in an instant. That evening, Maria came home humming, carrying groceries, completely unaware that my heart had just been ripped out of my chest. I waited until Lily was asleep before I said it. "I know the truth, Maria." She froze, bag still in her hands. "What truth?" she asked, her voice trembling. "The DNA test. She's not mine." Her face went pale. For a moment, she said nothing. Then, softly, she whispered, "I'm so sorry." My fists clenched. 3 years, Maria. 3 years you let me believe she was mine. How could you do this to me, to Lily? Tears spilled down her cheeks. "I didn't mean to hurt you. It was a mistake. I thought it was just one night. I didn't think it mattered because you loved her. You are her father." "No," I said coldly. "I'm not. Her father's Eric, isn't he?" Maria sobbed harder, but didn't deny it. That silence was my answer. That night, I slept on the couch, staring at the ceiling with the DNA report crumpled in my fist. The truth was out. But now I was faced with the most painful decision of my life. Do I walk away from Lily, the child who isn't mine by blood, but still calls me daddy? Or do I stay, knowing I'll always be living a lie? Either way, nothing would ever be the same again. The first year of fatherhood passed in a blur. Sleepless nights, diapers, endless bottles, and the constant sound of crying. It was overwhelming. But somehow, I convinced myself that the struggle was worth it, that the bond I was building with my daughter would outshine all the hardship. Still, there were moments, subtle ones, that scratched at the back of my mind. Little things that didn't add up. For starters, the timing. When I thought back carefully, I realized Emma had told me she was pregnant not long after we'd been on a break during one of our rough patches. I had asked her about it, and she assured me the timing worked out perfectly, that it was mine. "Don't overthink it," she had said with that soft smile that always disarmed me. "She's ours, and that's what matters." But my brain wouldn't stop replaying the math. Another thing was the way her parents acted around me. Her mom always seemed overly supportive, always telling me how lucky Emma was to have me. At first, I thought it was just kindness, but the way she emphasized it, like she was grateful I was around, left me unsettled. And then there was the resemblance. Everyone kept saying how much my daughter looked like Emma. Same eyes, same nose, same little smile. But not once did anyone say she looked like me. I brushed it off at first, telling myself it was just coincidence. After all, babies change as they grow. But as months turned into years, those comments never changed. The doubt grew louder. One night after we put our daughter to bed, I finally voiced it. "Emma," I said carefully, "don't take this the wrong way, but do you ever think she doesn't look like me?" She froze for half a second, then forced a laugh. "Seriously? You're being paranoid. Lots of babies don't look like their dads right away." She's yours. Stop worrying. But something in her tone, sharp, defensive, made me feel worse, not better. As my daughter grew older, I tried to drown my doubts by throwing myself into fatherhood. I was at every doctor's appointment, every first step, every late night fever. She called me daddy with such pure innocence that it melted away my suspicions, if only temporarily. Yet, cracks kept showing. When she turned 2, Emma started being secretive with her phone. She'd step outside to take calls or tilt the screen away if I walked by. I didn't want to become that guy, the paranoid, controlling partner, so I said nothing. But the silence ate me alive. One evening, after she stepped into the shower, I saw her phone light up on the nightstand. A message preview popped up. "Can't wait to see you again." My chest tightened. I picked up the phone, my hands trembling, but before I could unlock it, the bathroom door creaked. I set it back down instantly, pretending to scroll through my own phone. She came out wrapped in a towel, smiling as if nothing had happened. I didn't sleep that night. The moment that really shattered me came a few months later. We were at a barbecue with some friends, and my daughter was playing with the other kids. A buddy of mine, half joking, nudged me and said, "Man, she looks nothing like you. Are you sure you're the dad?" He laughed, but I couldn't. My stomach churned, and for the rest of the day, I plastered on a smile, while inside I was crumbling. That night, I confronted Emma again. "Tell me the truth," I demanded. "Is she mine? I need to know." Emma's eyes went wide with anger. Or fear. Maybe both. "How dare you ask me that? Of course she's yours. Do you have any idea how insulting that is? What kind of man doubts his own child?" Her words cut deep. She flipped it around, making me feel guilty for even questioning it. I ended up apologizing to her, even though it was my heart that was breaking. But deep inside, the seed of doubt had grown into a tree with roots I couldn't rip out. The real breaking point came on my daughter's 3rd birthday. We had a big party, balloons, cake, family, the whole thing. I watched her blow out the candles, surrounded by people who loved her, and I told myself, this is enough. Even if she doesn't look like me, even if I have doubts, she's my daughter in every way that matters. But later that night, after everyone left, I overheard Emma on the phone in the kitchen. Her voice was low, but the words stabbed me straight through the chest. "He doesn't know. He'll never know. She thinks he's her dad, and that's how it needs to stay." I froze, my heart stopped, my knees almost gave out. I didn't hear the rest. I couldn't. I stumbled back to the bedroom, trying not to make a sound, my mind spinning with the realization that everything I feared might actually be true. And the worst part, my daughter's laughter still echoed in the living room, completely innocent. If I confronted Emma now, if I blew this up, it would destroy her world. But if I stayed silent, I'd be living a lie. I didn't know which was worse. When people ask me what betrayal feels like, I always tell them it's not a knife in your back. No, it's slower, quieter, and far more devastating. It's the kind of pain that creeps into your chest like smoke, filling every corner until you can't breathe. But back then, 3 years ago, I didn't know betrayal. I only knew love, or at least what I thought was love. I met Emily at a mutual friend's birthday party. She wasn't the kind of woman you could ignore, even in a crowded room. There was something magnetic about her. Her laugh, her eyes, the way she carried herself with a mix of confidence and softness. I remember thinking, this is it. This is the kind of woman you build a future with. We started dating almost immediately. The late night drives, the hours-long conversations, the feeling that we couldn't get enough of each other. It was intoxicating. And when she told me she loved me just a few months in, I believed her with every fiber of my being. 6 months later, Emily told me she was pregnant. I remember the moment vividly. We were sitting on my couch, the TV humming in the background, when she looked at me with nervous eyes. "Jason," she whispered, I'm pregnant." I froze, not because I was scared, but because my chest filled with something bigger than fear, hope. I had always wanted to be a dad. My own father wasn't around much when I was a kid, and I had promised myself that one day, when I had a son or daughter, I'd do everything differently. I'd be there, always. I hugged her, kissed her forehead, and told her we'd figure everything out together. And we did, at least that's how it seemed. I went to doctor's appointments. I painted the nursery walls a pale yellow because Emily wanted something gender neutral. I worked extra shifts at my job just to make sure we'd have enough money for diapers, formula, and all the endless things a baby needs. When our daughter Lily was born, I cried harder than I'd ever cried in my life. Holding her tiny body in my arms, I thought, this is what I was made for. For the first year, life was exhausting, chaotic, but also perfect in its own messy way. I'd get up at 2 a.m. to rock Lily back to sleep. Emily and I would laugh over how unprepared we were for parenthood, and I'd post pictures of us on social media with captions like, "My girls, my whole world." But somewhere around Lily's second birthday, things started to change. Emily grew distant. At first, I brushed it off as stress. Raising a toddler's no joke. But then, she stopped wanting to be around me. She avoided my touch, snapped at me for small things, and spent more and more time on her phone. I asked her if something was wrong, if I had done something to upset her. But she always brushed me off with, "I'm just tired, Jason. Stop overthinking everything." Still, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. Then came the whispers. From friends, from neighbors, even from Emily's own cousin. Little comments that seemed innocent at first, but cut deep when I pieced them together. "Doesn't Lily look a lot like Emily's ex?" one person said at a barbecue. Another time, someone joked, "Wow, Jason, she doesn't have much of your side in her, huh?" I laughed it off publicly, but inside, doubt started to gnaw at me. For months, I tried to bury those thoughts. I told myself it didn't matter. Lily was my daughter, and I loved her unconditionally. But doubt has a way of poisoning everything it touches. And then, one night, it all came crashing down. Emily and I had gotten into yet another argument. It was about something stupid, me forgetting to take the trash out. But the fight escalated until she screamed something that froze me to my core. "You wouldn't understand because you're not even really her father." The room went silent. My ears rang. My heart stopped. I stared at her, unable to breathe. "What did you just say?" She went pale instantly, her hand flying to her mouth as if she could take the words back. I I didn't mean it, Jason. I was just angry. Forget what I said." "But you don't forget words like that." I couldn't sleep that night. I couldn't think of anything else. Her slip, the whispers, the doubts, all of it flooded my brain until I felt like I was drowning. And that's when I made a decision. I was going to find out the truth, no matter what it cost me. What I discovered after taking a DNA test didn't just confirm my worst fears. It destroyed the foundation of my entire life.